It's Klayton, aka Celldweller, and I am here today in collaboration with Vintage King Audio to talk to you about the Tiptop Audio Circadian Rhythms. So by default, the Circadian Rhythms doesn't generate any sound at all. It just sends out gates or triggers which trigger other events in your patch. I'll include patch notes in the info field of this video so you kind of know what's going on. So there are a lot of features packed into this unit, and I don't have the time to go over all of them, but I want to tell you kind of how I use them and how it makes sense to my brain. I've joked many times that I'm terrible at math. The reality is I'm actually pretty good at math. I just don't enjoy it, especially when it comes to making music. I want to make music. I don't want to calculate. Now, there is a lot of calculating that goes on here, but it's in a musical fashion, which makes a lot more sense. So I'll show you how I use the circadian rhythm so that it makes sense to my brain. And that's generally within two modes. I like to jump between 8x8 mode and vertical mode. Vertical mode is really where your main functions are, where you can you start and stop button here, and there are other things. You can change your presets, you can change groups. A group is a set of 8 presets. So you've got 8 rows and you've got 9 columns on the circadian rhythms, but really your mathematical part that makes music is really 8x8. And so you can look at it in this 8x8 mode, and what you're looking at is 8 rows, and each row has 8 steps in them, which go out these 8 outputs, and you send those to different things to trigger events with either gates or triggers. So when I hit play and go to 8x8 mode, you'll see that all 8 channels are moving through all 8 steps and just keep repeating over and over again. I can create a preset by programming gates or triggers on each row and save that as one preset, which I can then copy and paste into other preset locations. You have 8 of them, and step through them or change them in real time, however I want to do that. So in this case, when I go into 8x8 mode, this row is sending out gates on steps 1 and 5, and that's going to my Tiptop Audio 808 bass drum. And the second row is my snare drum, third row is my tight hats, my fourth row is my open hats, and then I get into some bass lines and 16th note things, which I can explain in a minute. But as it stands right now, this sequence is only Tiptop Audio drum modules. So as a simple example, I'm going to add a snare drum to this pattern. That will be on this row here, the second row. So I'll go to step 5. Let me add some extra kick drums. Let me get rid of my hi-hats. Let me add 8th note hi-hats with an open cymbal. I think you're starting to get the idea. It's pretty cool. So in preset 3, which is here, I created another row here of 16th note gates that are firing off an envelope that is shaping the sound of the Hertz donut. That Hertz donut is also going through the Korgasmatron 2 filter, and the filter cutoff is being modulated by the woggle bug, and all of the gates, all of the timing of all of the stuff you're hearing is being sent from the circadian rhythms. I'm going to mute the other channels so you're hearing just the Hertz donut channel. And now I can start bringing the other things back in by unmuting them. You'll see on row 5, I punched in some gates that are firing off to the Make Noise Renee, which is sending pitched information to the Erica Synths Black Wavetable VCO. And it sounds like this. And in the next preset, I actually added another trigger on another channel that is advancing Renee so that it is actually going through all 16 steps, and you'll hear it actually change the pitches of the bass line. So another cool feature of the Circadian Rhythms is that when you're playing back, you've got these trigger sections down here. What that allows you to do is, in real time, like a live performer, you can perform some of your triggers by hitting these buttons. I have the Make Noise Mister on, whose pitch is being controlled by the Make Noise pressure points. And then that is going through the Tiptop Audio Z-DSP with the amazing sounding Valhalla DSP reverb. So I'm going to play back that last part with the bass line and the 16th note Hertz donut line and everything else, and I'm going to manually trigger the Mister on. And another cool part of the functionality of the Circadian Rhythms is you can set different presets to loop. And so you can put them in a mode and you can select which presets you want to loop, and they will basically cycle through each other. So I set up rows 6 and 7 here to loop, and I programmed some notes to the Mister on that will then now fire without me actually having to trigger them manually. So there are a lot of features in the Circadian Rhythms that I didn't even have time to get to. You can change your tempo manually, or you can send an external clock to it. You can reset it. There are different modes, and there are a lot of deeper features. But if you can understand the basics of how this works and why this is such a cool thing to own, you'll probably want to get one yourself. Thanks for sticking all the way through this episode of Celldweller Production. I hope you got a better understanding of the Circadian Rhythms and how you might be able to use it. If you want one, head over to vintageking.com and get one. There's lots more content like this coming up on my channel, so subscribe or save this playlist so you don't miss a thing. Until next time, this is Klayton, aka Celldweller, signing off.